Hello, Facebook friends. This is Jeannine LaRue again with the LaRuelist Café. And boy, do I have a treat for you. This is going to be a great show. Right now, we are having a conversation. As you know, during the pandemic, a lot of things occurred during the pandemic where people found themselves not being able to really see folks in person very much. So they did a lot of things virtually. And it some of us felt so lonely that we didn't know really how to communicate. We couldn't meet people. And so you found a lot of new groups being set up. Well, Mary Ann Wasilewski, who you're going to meet in a couple minutes, she did something that is amazing. In November, I got this friend, not a friend request, but it was actually an invite where I was invited to join this group called Fun Loving, No Politics Lesbians. And when I looked at it, at first I said to myself, well, I don't know if this is for me because number one, I don't see how you can have fun loving and no politics in the same way because, as most of you know, I am a political animal. And also um, very, very much that's how I make my living through politics. So I said, I don't know if I want to join this group. The other thing is, I never really viewed myself as a lesbian. The truth of the matter is, I just fell in love with a woman and was in same-sex relationship for over 20 years, and that was that. So I said, I don't know if I want to join this group. And one day I just clicked on it and I said, okay, join. And I started just kind of creeping through for about 3 or 4 weeks. And I have to tell you, when I joined, she had 23,000. Yes, not 100, 23,000 members who were a part of this group. That group now has topped over 30,000 people. So I'm going to, without further ado, I'm going to bring on the person who is the founder of Fun Loving, No Politics Lesbians. And I want to say again, because I just did a quick live stream and I also did a little writing out there on Facebook. You do not have to be a lesbian to enjoy today's show. If you're a woman and you're watching the show and you get a little paranoid, well, my friends think I'm a lesbian. No, because what I say to folks, the more we learn about each other, the more we learn the facts about each other, the more we will learn to get along and not be so judgmental about various things in life. So I'm going to bring on my good friend, a good friend for life now, Mary Ann Wallace Lusky. I got it. Hey, Mary Ann, how you doing?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Oh,
Mwah.
well, you know what? I have no complaints right now, but I tell people the night is young. So who knows how I'll feel about things in the next several hours. Oh my goodness, look at your shirt. Underestimate me, that'll be fun. I guess that's the way you're supposed to say it too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, So, Marianne, what state are you in?
I'm in New York State. I'm actually in upstate New York, Syracuse. And
Okay.
Syracuse University basketball won yesterday. Woo woo.
Oh, woohoo, okay, all right. And you know, it's always about New York. My now late partner, she was a New Yorker. And whenever I would say to Maria, what do you think? Well, you know, it's all about New York. So I got so tired of hearing that, but I guess it is all about New York sometimes. So, Marianne, tell me, what made you come up with this concept of fun loving and why no politics? I want to hear about how you came up with this site.
Oh God, I'm sure this won't make me a very popular person, but I am not really a political person. I've never been a political person. And at the height of 2019, the things that were coming across my Facebook feed were terrifically disturbing to me. And watching people delete people from their lives based on their political views, which to me, living in the United States, everybody's entitled to their political view, whether I agree with it or disagree with it. And at the same time, I had joined a senior lesbian women's group, and the administrator was really rude to a good friend of mine whose Facebook account got hacked. And so she told her she was throwing her off the site for that. And I basically, because I swear like a sailor, said, F it, I'll start my own site. And that's kind of how it began.
Well, and start your own site you did, because I have never seen anything. I mean, I don't know if you've read the book Tipping Point, but my goodness, you found a tipping point for this mode of communications among lesbians. Now, you started out with how many people joined when you first kicked it off?
Roughly, I had been on two Melissa Etheridge cruises, one in 2018 and one in 2019, and I met a lot of wonderful, wonderful women on those cruises. So combined with the people that I met and my own friend group, I think I started out probably anywhere between 300 and 400, somewhere along there.
And I bet back then you said, wow, this is a lot of people on my site.
Well, I did, but part of what the concept was that was interesting to me, which I have not done in a while, which I would like to do again, is there were a lot of very, very talented women out there who weren't necessarily connected in any way, and they were women that I had met on the cruise, and I wanted to find a way to connect them. So this to me seemed like a pretty good way to start. And I'd also met some of the performers on the cruise. So I thought I'll invite them to come in and like do a show. And initially when I started the site back in August, it was the middle of August or toward the end of August. I had actually a couple of people come on and do live performances, which was a lot of fun. And I also had the idea, well, because there are so many talented women out there, we had a master Reiki person come on. She also was very, very well versed on the different crystals and their different power granting efforts, I guess is what you'd call it. And so that's initially one of the thoughts that was behind doing this, was trying to connect women in this way. And yeah, I thought 400 was a lot. And I thought, you know what? It'll be nice and small, be able to keep it under control. No.
No.
That didn't happen.
Now, before we get into the site, I want the viewers to know a little bit about you. What did you do for a career? Do you tell your age? I tell mine. Lord willing, I'll be 71 years old in June. I can't wait. And so tell me about what you've done for a profession. How old are you? Are you a lesbian? I want to know all of that.
Okay. Well, let's see. I'm originally born, I live in Syracuse, New York right now, but I'm originally from a small town further, 70 miles further north, which is closer to the Canadian border, Watertown, New York. I went to a Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, 2-year-old women's Catholic college, and then graduated from SUNY Potsdam. I kind of fell into human resources. And I worked in human resources for 30 years. I retired from SUNY Upstate Medical University, which is a part of the State University of New York 64, one of the campuses in their 64 campus arena. And so I am going to be, I'm a Pisces. I fancy myself an artist, although, you know, I would put that in quotes. I am 64. I will be 65 in a month and a half.
There you go.
And let me see, you asked me, am I a lesbian? Well, first I'm going to ask you to define what a lesbian is.
I don't know. I thought you were going to help me with that because I'm a novice. As I said, I never considered myself as a lesbian, so I don't know. What is it?
You know, I don't when I think of myself as a person, and you and I talked a little bit about this. When I think of myself, the first thing that comes to my mind is not that I'm a lesbian. So I view myself as a person who looks for opportunities to try to make the world a better place. I think
Hmm.
that's as a lesbian, there is a part of me that is very much focused. So yes, I am a lesbian. But
Okay.
for many years, I probably would have told you I was bisexual, but because I was married to a guy for 20 years and he was a wonderful guy.
Hmm.
Um, but I do consider myself to be a lesbian. Um, and I think that when you define yourself like that, using that term, because there's a lot of that kind of discussion on the site. What is this? What is that? And people throwing around all these different terms. And my philosophy has always been, and I think I told you this, that words only have as much power as you give them.
Right.
Um, as a lesbian, I consider myself to be a lover of women, but I have always been a lover of women. When I look back on when I was growing up and I was in my teenage years, I felt more closely connected to my female friends than anyone. And
Hmm.
that has never changed throughout my life. It hasn't. It's still exactly the same way. I
It's
don't know if that.
funny. Well, it's funny that you should say this, and everything that you've said, I can co-sign. I totally, totally agree with you because I've been married twice to I was going to say to a man, but I was only married once to each man, so I wasn't married twice to the same man. And it's really kind of interesting because I have pretty much most of my life been more attracted um, to women, but not in an intimate way. It's just that I have trusted women more. I have, and I'll tell you something, Marianne. I mean, I'm born in America. I'm an African American woman. I really feel more African at times. That's why I could probably never run for a state or federal office because you say, "Oh, I feel more African than I do American." It's like, "Oh, here we go. She doesn't feel American." But because if you ever came to my home, and I've had a lot of Africans visit me in my home, they're like, "Oh my goodness, you are so well traveled in Africa." I'm like, "No, I've never been there. It's just that this is the decor that I have been attracted to all of my life."
Yeah, it and I totally get that because my mom was Sicilian, and I had the opportunity to travel to Italy, which Italians would tell you that Sicily is not part of Italy; it's more Greek. But there's something about that feeling of a homeland, I guess.
Hmm.
The feeling that it evokes within you when you're there, which is why I think we surround ourselves with things like that, because it does it makes you feel this really special connection to where you're from.
One of the things I will tell you that, as you know, and we've had conversations on the phone, we've had FaceTime, Zoom conversations. I lost my partner in September, and one of the things is I had this guilt because I never, I was never really out. I mean, they have in New Jersey, they have this list of 100 most influential gay, lesbian, bi, trans. And it's really kind of humorous because I have found myself, the list is 3 years old, and I've found myself on the list every year. But this last year, the third year, I got this call and I was told someone had seen the list. They said, Jeannine, you're number one on the list. And I started crying out of guilt because I said, Maria is gone. And we stayed pretty much in the closet all those years because she felt it would destroy my career. And now all of a sudden, I'm out of the closet and I'm number one on this list. It just was it was not a good feeling for me. So in November, one of my friends, I hope she's watching this now, Pamela Renee, she's an elected official in the No Politics group, and she sent me an invite, and she simply said, I'm inviting you to join this. And I just couldn't imagine I would have liked it. As I said, I creeped into it. I was creeping a bit, just watching. And then all of a sudden, I put a photograph up and said, I'm 70 years old. I lost my partner. And this is the first time I have been in a group like this. And within 3 days, almost 2,000 women either liked it or made comments, and I just couldn't believe it. And then they invited me to a Friday Zoom meeting every Friday at 7 o'clock, where we old farts 70 and older get together and we solve all the problems of the world and share what we're reading and all that. And it's because of you, Marianne, you, that you actually helped me through my grieving moments from November up until this day. So, what do you got to say to women like me where you've given us a home to express ourselves?
I think that the greatest thing that we can do as women is to try to empower each other. And one of the ways that I hope um, that this group has had a positive effect on people is by doing that. Um, it's it's such a diverse group of women. Some women will join, they'll introduce themselves, and you may never hear from them again. And women who have lost their partners, I've heard some of the most beautiful and touching stories from women, and showing the demographic of younger women that yes, there are other women out there like you, lesbians or whatever you want to call yourself, um, who have been together for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And so, yeah, it's possible. It's possible to do that and be and feel good about yourself and not let anybody else define you.
Well, that's the thing, the other thing that I have found to be amazing. I'm looking at some of these women and they're talking about say hello to my wife. We've been together for 37 years. Say hello, we've been together for 42 years. My wife died 40 years ago. And I'm saying to myself, did I live under a freaking rock? I didn't know there were that many lesbians. And I mean, do you think most of these women, 30,000, I think now you're up to 30,400 women, do you think most of them are really gay?
Yes, I do. I do. But again, I think it all goes back to how you define it, because I see different people have different thoughts about what constitutes being a lesbian, I think, or at least that's what I've seen. One of the things that's been kind of surprising to me is that um, women, some of the women in the group don't necessarily support every letter under the LGBTQ umbrella. And for me, it's hard for me to not do that. And I guess when I think about it, there is a quote that comes to my mind. Um, and I can't remember who it's by, but it goes, the oppressed become the oppressors. And I think it's particularly relevant because when you start to think that you as a defined class or category of a person, whether it be the color of your skin or the person that you love, when you start to think that you are better than someone else, I think what you see is what happened in this country over the past 4 years. I really do.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
if you can't, I mean, I'm 64. I'm not a spring chicken. I kind of have a toe in the grave. Hopefully not for a long
We're
time.
gonna be here for a while. We're gonna be here till we're 90 some.
Yeah, we'll still be doing a show then.
Yep.
But I guess, if you can't get outside that box and
Exactly.
look at each other just as people, don't look at anything
Hmm.
else. Don't look at someone else and say, oh, that person's this or that person's that, because you don't freaking know. You really don't know
You
until
don't
you
know.
actually get to know that person. You do not know. And so we walk around making these assumptions about each other based on either physical attributes, mostly physical attributes, I think,
Hmm.
without even bothering to know, is what I'm thinking in my head even close to being truthful about who this person is?
Well, I have to tell you something funny, and I'm sorry that Maria is not here, so we can keep laughing about it. During the 90s, we got in New Jersey our first female, first and last so far, but we're going to get another one at some point. But we had our first female governor. She just happened to be Republican, and I just happened to like her a lot. She beat my one of my very good friends, Governor Florio. He will forever be my governor. I just love him. I've had a lot of great governors since Governor Florio, but he is truly my friend, and he goes to bat for me. And so, one of the things that I was on the Casino Control Commission at the time, and one of the things that some folks I shared with them that I was in a same-sex relationship, and they said, "Well, there's a secret party, holiday party that's held every year of people, women who are in same-sex relationships, and you're
Ooh,
going to be invited, but you cannot ever tell how you got invited and who was at the party." And I walked in the first year, Maria and I walked in. I'm looking, I'm like, I see her on the news. She's an anchor woman. I see her over here. I see there were women in all walks of life. And even now, we're all still very good friends and we still have a chuckle with each other. It was like, I met you at that party, you know?
yeah.
So when you say you really can't tell who is what, who is who, you can't, because I would have never thought all of these women who I worked with on a daily basis in the state house were in relationships with women.
And I don't know if there's uh, a I think for me, I uh, could have never done politics because when I decided to come out, I came out. I'm coming out at work. I'm coming out to my family. I'm coming out to everybody, you know? And I just did. And part of that was I wanted, as a person working in human resources, for other people to know that my office was a safe place and that it didn't matter to me what their issue was or whether it was my area of expertise. If I didn't know it, I would find out who did. Do you know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
So, but that is funny about the party. I'm sure there were people there that you never expected to see.
Oh, I still can't believe that they were in the same sex relationship, but it was just and it was a sisterhood that was above my political relationships, my family relationships.
Right?
It just was so special. And these women Many of them are still living, some of them have passed on, but these women are truly sisters to me. We have a bond that is just so amazing.
And what I want to ask you is, do you all have different political views?
Yeah, because as I said, I'm a registered Democrat and kind of staunch to that. I'm not as progressive as some people would like me to be, but I am a Democrat, and I actually, and these women, most of them were Republicans because it was a Republican governor, and I actually, I came out. I didn't come out as gay then, but I actually headed up the Democrats and Independents for the re-election of Christine Todd Whitman because I figured if guys get a shot to do it twice and screw up or well, she should get a shot at it too. And
Right.
so I campaigned very, very hard for her. And she's still my friend. I love Christine Todd Whitman. Love her.
Yeah, and that I think was surprising to people, um, back when I started the group, that no politics. How can you not? How can you not? I mean, I would get private messages from women basically dressing me out that I was not a real lesbian, because if I were a real lesbian, I would not. I would be talking about politics. I
Right,
would be doing that. And I'm like, you and I have different definitions of what a real lesbian is, but I don't, I don't, I've never let politics define me as a person.
right, right.
I haven't, because if people want to go in that direction, you can point fingers going all directions on that stuff. You
Exactly,
can. I mean, you really
exactly.
can. And I just figured, all right, we at the same time we were getting slammed with politics. We were in a pandemic,
Hmm.
and a pandemic the likes of which our age group has never seen. We
Right.
haven't. I mean, this is truly a history making moment for us.
Hmm.
It really is. The lack of physical touch, the I haven't seen my family from 70 miles north in a while. And I miss them. I mean, a lot of things
It's
happened.
devastating.
Right. I lost a brother-in-law to COVID-19.
Mm.
Um,
I'm
my
so
older
sorry for
sister's
your
husband.
loss.
It so much loss. And this was another thing that you and I talked about. There has to be a place where you can go, where if you can't feel somebody physically hug you, maybe you can feel it on a spiritual level, and just
Hmm.
know that there are other people out there feeling the same exact way you do.
Well, on that level, I make you laugh because I was like freaking out. What am I going to do Christmas? What am I going to do New Year's? Because I'm going to be here by myself. And excuse me, it just so happened that both of those holidays fell on a Friday. So I said to the group of women, the 70 and older, I said, well, I guess we will start back up on the after the holidays. And they were like, Jeannine, we're old and we're in a pandemic. We can't visit people. These holidays are on a Friday. We're going to be right here. Where else are we going to be? I was
Grab
so
your wine and
relieved.
get on here.
Oh my goodness. I had my glass of wine and we talked about the books we've read, the places most of they've traveled. I've traveled a few of those places, but these women are international. And it really did help to get through this. So when we talk about through this, here's a question for you. 30,000 lesbians. Have there been any love hookups on your site?
Yeah,
Tell me about it.
actually, there have been a lot, and just I think it was yesterday, two women who met. They didn't meet on the site I created, but they met on another site. I think they've only known each other like either 4 or 6 months. Just got married, and I think there's been at least one or two other couples who just got engaged. And I met a really great special woman named Casey Chauvin, who lives in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And so, yeah, I mean, some people are very shy about telling me that, but then I get a lot of private messages from people who just want to say thank you. Thank you. I would never have thought of ever entertaining meeting somebody in another state or um, even considering a long distance relationship with anyone. And I've met so and so, and we started talking 3 weeks after you created this group. So, yeah, there have been some pretty interesting connections made, I would say. And there's an opportunity for people to make more. And what sprung off from this one site was another site that's a singles group. Okay. And I think I was just looking at their numbers the other day, and they're either 4,000 or 5,000 on there.
Wow.
Now, some of them are from here, from the original main group, and others are coming in through friends of theirs because their site is public, which the one I created used to be public, but then I turned it off because we were having some issues with some catfish, let's
Right.
say. And they're very difficult to screen out because their profiles look better than ours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But so that group sprung off from there. Another group, which I don't know if you've joined this one, but you might like it. It's fun loving and progressive politics group. So politics is discussed in that group.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Okay, because
And
there
then
is another
there was,
progressive one.
I think there was a group of women that started doing recovery meetings for AA or drug abuse. And then there was another group that I think has been started for widows.
Okay. Okay.
So that was one of the interesting things to spring out of this. And for some reason, sometimes people feel like they have to ask my permission to start it. And it's like, no, you just go on and click the button and start
You're
one.
the 800-pound gorilla on the block. I mean, 30,000 people. Oh
I
my
don't,
goodness.
I've heard from women who have started groups that have like over 100,000 women in them or
Really?
80,000. And it's like, oh my God, it's a lot. It's a lot of people with a lot of differing opinions about things, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I would think as women, okay, and tell me if you agree with this, that we have more in common than we think we do. But I'm
Oh
always
yeah.
surprised to see that some of the people will say the only thing that we have in common is that we're lesbians.
No, not at all. At all.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would not think that either. I would think that as women that we have a lot of commonalities. So I don't
I
know,
have
but
met some amazing people through the site. I had one woman, and I love her like a daughter. She's younger than my kids, and she inboxed me one day, and she said, "I don't want to seem forward, but I like your live streams." And she's the head of drama or something, I think at Berkeley, in California. She said, "I want to Zoom with you one day." And so I said, well, let's do it. So we Zoomed one day. We were Zooming for, I guess, about an hour and a half. I just enjoyed her so much as she told me so much about her life, fascinating life. And I said, you know what? I'm going to adopt you. And so she sent me an inbox about 6 weeks ago. She said, I need another Zoom. I said, okay, let's do it. And we Zoomed again. But I have met some wonderful, wonderful friends through you, Marianne. Marianne, tell me about your hobbies. What do you do for fun?
well, I like art. I fancy myself like an artist, like I said. One of the things that I really like to do is I make ceramic tiles. Actually, I should say I decorate ceramic tiles. Um, and they're not ceramic tiles I make. I buy them like at Lowe's or Home Depot. Friend of the Lesbian store, friendly store of the Lesbian, I guess is what you would call it. Um, and once I do an acrylic pour on them that's based from a mixture of several different components, including the acrylic paint to get it to adhere to the tile. And then I do it more so as a hobby versus something to sell. But I also paint and I make jewelry, and I'm working on a stained glass window painting, and I'm making a tile for you. And
For
this is
me.
one of the little decorations that's going to go on
Oh,
there.
oh,
And this
wow.
is when I think about you, this saying on here comes to mind because this is something that I think you do. And it says, we rise by lifting others.
Oh,
And
wow.
not, there are not a lot of people, I don't think, in this world who possess that ability. So when you meet somebody like yourself, you are honored to be in that person's presence.
Wow. Thank you, Marianne. You're
You
very,
really are.
very special. Thank you. And I have a friend for life, and it has just it's been magnificent knowing you. I'm looking forward. I haven't had a chance to actually talk to Kim, but we're Facebook friends, and she does a lot of comments on my posts and everything. But you guys are you're special, and you've
Well,
done a
thank
lot
you.
to help women, not just all over this country, but truly all over the world.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
So there you have it. I hope more folks will join, more lesbians will see about being invited to this group. It's a magnificent group. I have gained so many permanent friends from it. And Marianne, you are our ambassador and our leader. So
You
we
are too
love you.
funny.
And thanks for coming on to LaRuelist
Mm,
Cafe. Back to you. Back to
thank
you.
you.
So, LaRuelist Cafe subscribers, there you have it. That is the magnificent Marianne. And I tell you, for someone where I've been a lobbyist for over 40 years, politics have been my mainstay. I didn't think I could have fun without politics, but I'm having a lot of fun without it. And thank you for spending the last 40 minutes with us in cafe, LaRuelist Cafe. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.